Hey everyone! So it's Friday, and boy, have we had a week. And if you have been listening to Johanna, our deluxe supreme goddess of the astrology information, she told us that today was going to be a really pretty wicked day because Mars was going to go direct tomorrow, today or tomorrow. And I thought, well, we're going to do a little bit of myth busting today about how come everybody's kind of wired up and creating some stress for themselves and what's really going on. So what I wanted to talk about today was what is going on with us so that we don't get embroiled in all this drama, all this stuff that is happening outside our purview. There's nothing that we can change. And to get engaged with each other again, especially now through the holidays, gatherings, the different things that we may want to do, there's a lot of tension out there. So how do we handle it? What do we want to do? How can we say what we need to say without really buying into things, without really engaging people in an angry mode? And I wanted to talk a little bit about this because all of us are exhausted. And we're getting more exhausted. And so how do we look at it? Well, I'm having to use a different computer, so I hope you guys can see this. If you can see here, we get 23,000 messages a day. What does that mean for us? Well, on the large scheme of things, it means things like, well, that person's wearing a blue shirt. She has beautiful red hair. This one has a loping walk. That's an orange car. Boy, isn't that strange. And those are just some of the messages we get. When we're engaged in this higher frequency, sometimes we get messages from people because of their emotions. So you could be walking through the store and somebody could be really stressed out because they may not have the money to buy Thanksgiving dinner, or maybe they're thinking about what they're going to do because they're not going to see their family for the holidays. That tension builds, and as you walk past them, you can take it personal, or you can take it just the way it is. That's their story. That's what they're going through. And so maybe even if they're angry, and even if they are reacting negatively to me, that doesn't mean I have to engage that and react negatively back. So looking at people, smiling, doing your best to keep that smile on your face, understanding that people are going through their own stories, helps us create a little bit better and a little bit gentler way. And that also keeps us from having that judgment of owning somebody else's angst or frustrations or their drama. For example, a lot of people are sitting here right now, they're not working full time. Their kids are in school, at home, and their stress levels are high. What can we do to alleviate that? Is there a way that maybe we can help them by offering to do their shopping when we go shopping? Or possibly mowing a yard? When you know that somebody may be working 6-7 days a week and trying to work 3 and 4 little jobs to make the money to pay the rent, maybe your neighbor needs a little bit of help. Maybe that someone special in your life should be looking at you and going, okay, she's stressed or he's stressed. Let me step back a minute because this is where I need to step up and engage that. So don't allow that 23,000 messages that you're to buy into. This is going to keep you healthier. This is going to keep your stress levels released, and it keeps us moving forward. Now, we all know that we have to take ownership of our own stuff. What I mean by that is, the word karma is bandied about way too often. Way too many times do we go in and say, oh, karma is going to get this person, or I did something really bad, so karma is going to get me. That's not really how karma works. Karma is a tool that we can use for understanding what we're doing that is not helping us or may be helping us to raise our consciousness to the next level. Now, if you're stuck in 3D, which is basically, okay, the Piscean thought process, the what we're creating from most of the time, I have to go to work. I have to work hard to get anywhere. I have to, there's no other way I can make my life happy unless I'm married or unless I'm got $1,000 in my checking account and $50,000 in savings, and gosh knows everybody's going, oh, the economy, and they're basing their life on the stock market, but very few people are really involved in the stock market. So those stressors that really have nothing to do with us are just the mundane world. Now, one of the things that used to drive me nuts is that I ran into somebody and they told me they were going to wake up one day and be in 5D. They were going to be in the 5th dimension. I'm like, well, why can't your consciousness get there? Because you can create from whatever dimension you want to. That's what that is literally referring to. Think of the 3rd dimension as your fear, your chakra, your 3rd chakra. It's creating fear. If you have not been listening to everybody being fearful, then you haven't been talking to people lately. Everybody's got a buy-in about what they're afraid of, and that triggers our own fears. Step away from people. If they're sinking into all the chaos, the conspiracies, and the dramas about the way they see this world, then they're not willing to operate on a higher frequency, and you can. So you can remove all of that from your life by saying to yourself, you know, karma is where I'm creating from. So if I feel guilty about something, I'm going to create a situation to either learn not to feel guilty or to alleviate that guilt. I'm going to punish myself with my thoughts or with something that I bring into my life so that I can make retribution for that bad deed that I think I did. Which brings us to what really is a bad deed. You know, yeah, it's not really brilliant to go out and steal money or, you know, damage property, murder somebody. That's not good behavior, and you're going to have to learn to operate from that frequency on a whole nother level. But, sorry, a little thirsty today. But what if you understood that what you're creating is a future path? And so if you saw what you were doing in the future as being lush and happy and fulfilled, you wouldn't be struggling with the moments today. If you look back through your life, you're going to see that everything that you have ever done, you've made it through. All those really bad things that have happened, you're still here, you're still surviving. So instead of looking at yourself and saying, I can't go in and have this in my life, or I can't talk to my family because they believe that, or they're making up these stories of what's happening in the world and I don't agree with their stories. Let them have their stories. It's not going to pay your bills. It's not going to make your life any better or worse. What you have to do is create your world. And by bringing in more light for you, you're going to create a whole world different. I'm going to see if I can show you this. Like I said, I was having some computer issues, so we're kind of dealing off my Kindle Fire. So hopefully you guys can see this. I'm going to kind of get it in as best as I can by moving things around. Okay, so let's say this is a river, and it's the waters of life. Okay, lose you guys? There you guys are. It goes through the fast, rapid movement on top, but down here the water is so slow and it's cold, and there's obstacles to go around, so you either go up or you go around it. There's all kinds of different ways that when we're down in that lower vibration, we'll call this the 3D level, where anger resides, where competition resides, where conspiracy theories reside, where frustrations lie. Because if we all look at it realistically, the Illuminati don't care. They no more care about Michelle Vidal in Albuquerque, New Mexico than the man in the moon. Maybe they care more about you. Maybe you make more money than I do. But just me, nah, not so much. So the 3D world tells us that we have to have these routines, and those routines are what keep us stable. And we meditate and we raise our vibration. So we go up a little, and it's a little nicer and it's a little warmer, and then all of a sudden you might have a car accident or somebody might get sick, and then you go right back down to that slow moving cycling of water. When every drop here, if you think about it, we are all drops in this. I don't know if you can see my drops, but there's little drops. That river is made up of a millions of droplets of water. Every one of those drops are individualized. Just like grass. When we look at the hues of grass, it's green, completely green, but every blade is individualized. And when we realize that that's where we are, that we're creating from that individualized droplet of water, that we can keep ourselves up here where the water is warm and it's running fast and it's in that beautiful flow without any you might have a road bump here. You might have one or two once in a while, but nothing like you're going to get down at the bottom. So engaging in people means letting go of the fear factors. Now, how does that look? Well, when our heart chakra is engaged, we're in our power. There's nothing that we can't do. We feel balanced. We're in love with love and everybody in it. There's no one thing or one person that is at the top of the list, because everything is in perfect harmony. When we allow that fear to go in, our heart chakra can clamp down and it makes us fearful. Take, for example, you're driving down the road and you can see that car coming. We've all felt it. You can feel their car blowing past us. You know they're going to cut you off. You know they're just trying to get up one more car to get to the right turn so they can cut you off and turn right. And that's going to irritate you. And it's going to take your space. And you already can feel that energy building. So you can either step on the gas, which I've done. I'm like, no, I'm not today. You're not taking my space today. And engaging that person on that same energetic level. Or you can say, you know what? Go ahead. You need to get somewhere. Wherever you need to go, have it at it. Many blessings. Love you. Gotta go. And let them have it. Because in all honesty, nothing is worse than to create that anger for your day. There is frustrations that we have that is too much. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes we don't feel like people can hear us. We feel like the struggle is real and we're on our own in it. And that is true. We kind of are, because we're the major actor in our play. Everybody else comes in and loans their energy to us, either gently or aggressively. If we keep buying into that aggressive competition where we have to prove ourselves right, we forget that we can actually bring more light to the world by changing directions, by bringing ourselves up into that higher frequency, by listening to what can happen and, what our inner voice is telling us. Once those catalysts that we put into place that trigger those opportunities to grow spiritually, we should look at them and say, you know what? It's hard. Cry the tears that you got to cry. Fight the battle you got to fight. Do the job that you have to do. But to raise your consciousness to the fourth and fifth dimension means just that. Open your expansion. Open up and be more willing to see what's going on. I had a neighbor years ago. She was dying, and she was a friend of mine. And we used to do our yard work together on Saturdays. and then we get together for happy hour. You know, we'd have dinner that night together and a couple of drinks sitting on the porch, glass of wine, whatever we wanted. And she had isolated herself when her husband died. She just didn't feel like she could connect to any people because it hurt her heart so much to have that loss. Those are the people, especially now, especially during this time, that we're all struggling. We need to engage and leave room for our hearts for those people who are so hurt and so alone, that this time is hard and rough for them. We all know that Pluto went retrograde. We all know it's about deep transformation. We know that Neptune is still retrograde. And we know that that's about engaging our spirituality. We can make the fight real easy on ourselves by just saying, hey, you know what? We can do this together, because that's the vision we should be having for all of humanity. Be gentle with yourself right now. Don't go out and fight over toilet paper. Don't go out and fight over a pot of beans. Give a pot of beans. Give a roll of toilet paper. Understand that we're in this together. Don't engage those posts on Facebook that say mean things about other people and other places and other things that you have no control over, because the moment you buy into that, the more your heart is going to hurt, and the more you're going to slow down, and the more it's going to hurt your soul progression. And believe me, you don't want to have gone through this year of 2020 having just as much, if not more anger, just as much fear, or if not more fear, than you did in January of 2020. I mean, we were all... I remember January, Susan Zumo came into Resonant Essentials, and she did her January forecast, and she says, you know what, you know, and everyone that had it really was going to be looking at some really great opportunities. And I look back and I think, gosh, I hope I didn't waste my opportunity. I hope I mattered enough that I changed something for someone. And with that in mind, think about karma not as a payback for people who have hurt you, but as a learning tool for your highest and best interest. My heart to yours. Mwah! Love you all. That's it for me today. We'll talk next week, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week. If there's anything you want to talk about, you want my input on what I can offer, I'm more than happy to talk about it. We'll see you next week. Bye now.